Hello, everybody. I'm Sophia Parola with the Garden State Film Festival, and here with me is filmmaker Charlie, who has made the short film, The Vow. Charlie, how you doing today?
Great, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about the film and the festival.
Me too. Thank you for making The Vow, for coming out, taking some time out to talk to us about it. Before I get into the many questions I have, will you give the audiences who are watching a little synopsis about The Vow?
Okay, The Vow is a story about a cross-cultural contract marriage and some of the pitfalls that the main character experiences. So, it's a look at what I consider to be some important themes today: misogyny, cultural sort of fetishization, and some of the older themes of relationships, including abusive relationships, emotional and psychologically abusive relationships. And we try to show what's happening to this young protagonist, rather than just have one of those New York apartment talking films where everybody's sitting around chatting. And we think we captured a little something. So we're really excited to be part of the festival, and I'm excited to talk about the film.
Me too. You absolutely did capture something. I think what you just said is way more eloquent than I could have put it. It is such a relevant story. I'm glad I saw it. I think it is really important for audiences to see, and you told it in such a beautiful way by showing and not telling, which is one of the questions I had for you. So congrats on that. First question, what was your inspiration for talking about some of the topics that this film explores in creating this film?
I was thinking about this interview, and I was kind of thinking in my head how I would explain it. And, we could talk all night, because as artists, sometimes we don't know where the ideas come from. We just sort of allow them to happen and to see what's coming out when we work. But I would have to say specifically, this story came from another script that is a feature project that we tried to conceive as a short. And I work very closely with my partner, the cinematographer, because I believe in film. The cinematographer is kind of the narrator in a novel. And I want to photograph the drama as much as I do write words on the page for actors to speak. So we realized we couldn't execute the original concept of a dark love story. And so we were just out to dinner one night, and we said, we need to do a cross-cultural story. And we started with the idea of a romance. And then we decided to, take a look at an unequal relationship in which both parties are trying to enter into this relationship to get something, which is kind of an echo of marriage in the way it was traditionally viewed. But we thought, now let's do a modern take on it. And my cinematographer and my partner and one of my closest friends is a Chinese national, and he's in Beijing now. He should be here with me. But because of the pandemic and because of some of the restrictions that artists faced living and working in New York City, especially with the political climate the way it was when this film was being conceived and shot, he unfortunately had to leave the country. And so it's kind of ironic that I'm sitting here today and he's unable to be here because of those restrictions. But he's thriving and doing well in China. And we laugh about the fact that we conceived this story to be about this cultural clash. And now we're trying to figure out a way to get back together and work together. So hopefully, with things getting better with the virus, we can find a way to work together again on that feature idea. Right. But yeah, that's how we conceived it. We wanted it to be a romance. We thought we could address a lot of themes, and we could also just tell a story about romance, which is kind of a timeless theme.
Absolutely. And I mean, shout out to your partner. I hope he's doing well. I'm glad he's doing well, because this really is a great collaboration that you can obviously tell. So as you said,
cinema photographer too. He's extraordinarily talented. I mean, you and I, well, I don't know, maybe you, but he and I, we could both take the same picture with the same lens, the same camera, lit the same way. His is going to look better.
Oh my gosh. I have such like an appreciation for cinematographers because it's not easy to do at all. And then there goes so much that goes into it. And it really does tell the narrative, like you said yourself.
Yeah. Well, we made a decision
Amazing
early
art.
on that we didn't want to shoot it in a traditional way with coverage. We didn't want to shoot a master shot, then a two shot, then over your shoulder, over the shoulder, over the shoulder, then a single close up, then back out to a two shot when the actor gets up. Because although that's the cinematic grammar we're all used to, it kind of does something to time and it disconnects you from the actual flow of time. And we wanted these longer takes. And we had the luxury of rehearsing our actors for a week so that we could rehearse the blocking in a studio where we had the sets and we had tape on the floor where the couch was. Here's the window. Here's where the camera's going to come in. Everyone had their moves down so that when we went, we did 5, 6, maybe 7 takes of these long, slow, graceful shots that we felt gave the viewer the sense that time is actually passing. They can feel the tension.
Absolutely. You can feel the tension. You brought me up to my next question. One of the shots that are coming into my mind without giving anything away, you have this beautiful shot inside a mirror where you see most of the scene happening in the mirror and then you follow it to like in front of the camera. It was beautiful and very, very unique. So how do you number one, write something where it's mostly shown, it's a lot of it is emotions and time is passing without any dialogue. And how do you direct that in the room? Like, what was that process like?
It's funny because over time and through my study and apprenticeship with filmmakers and mentors, I've learned that whenever I did an assignment in film school or I did a short and I got a critique, I was always asked, what is this about? What are you shooting? And in times when I struggled to answer that, I couldn't answer the questions of why I made the choices I made. But once I knew what the scene was about or what the film was about, then it was just about, well, now we know what it's about. This is about fear. This scene is about fear, or the emotional beats in this scene are about joy, anticipation that turned to fear, and then resignation. And so now I have the emotional beats. And now I can say, well, we have all the technical stuff how are we going to show that? How are we going to show the joy? How are we going to show the trepidation? How do you want to shoot the fear? Do you want to do it with a lens? Do you want to do it with blocking? Let's do it with production design. Let's move the camera. And then everybody gets in the conversation, and the people who really know how to execute that stuff, they tell you, oh, how about we do this? Or why don't we bring this down? Or why don't bring a bounce board in and move it in right on that line and light her up or something like that. So it's about knowing what you want to shoot, having an idea of what the emotion is, what the theme is, what the beats are, and then letting your super talented, dedicated crew come up with all the good suggestions. And I had an amazing crew, and I'm hoping to use them on the next project. I had a great time working with everyone. They did a fantastic job.
They really did. It sounds like an amazing team behind your back. So how long was this filming process when you wrote it? And then you said you had a rehearsal period and you guys filmed it. What was that length?
Well, we shot for 4 days. We had a great AD. We had everything broken down into 15-minute segments. We did a lot of location scouting, and we figured out like we were going to be in the living room 11 times, 7 times. Let's do everything on day one, all the daytime shots in the living room on day one early. So it was all shot out of sequence, but because the actors were rehearsed, because they knew the camera moves, because they knew all the emotional beats, and it was just about getting a good take. And like I said, we usually got what we needed on the 3rd or 4th take, but then we took a couple of extra ones if the actor had an idea, they wanted to try something, or if the cinematographer was like, well, let me try it on this lens and we'll move the slider back or whatever. And we stayed on schedule. So the whole thing was 4 days, and we did it with a crew of about 16 people, I would say.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And like you said, you shot it out of sequence, and those actors would have never thought that watching it. So props to your actors and your directing. That's really amazing. So I mean, this is such a universal message. I mean, I know that the people that you represented in this film, I'm glad they represented a beautiful, diverse cast, but it also, no matter who you are, no matter what race, gender, I think that, this is, anyone can relate to this. So I would imagine that it has been in a festival run, that it's not just Garden State Film Festival this is accepted into, but I'd love to know why you wanted to submit to Garden State, how it feels to be accepted into the Garden State Film Festival.
This was, and I'm not just saying this, but this is the ultimate achievement for this film and the ultimate recognition for this film, because this is a festival that's been going for 20 years that I've been hearing about for a long time, that a lot of the people whose work I look up to have it's been shown here. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. And I just wanted to say something about the representation. That's a part of New York City and growing up in New York City. And having traveled around and worked in different parts of the country, I realized that other places don't necessarily have that luxury. They don't have that experience of diversity. They're not open to different cultures, different aesthetics, different ways of cooking, dressing, worshiping, whatever it is, different music. And to me, that is something that's reflected in all of the work I do, because those are the people who are around me. And film is the ultimate collaborative medium. So the more people you bring into it and allow them to do what they do, the more input you get, the richer the tapestry. So I feel very fortunate to have these people believe in the original idea and want to participate, because they make the film.
Absolutely. I love those words. I love what you said about Garden State. Last question for you. I know we could talk all night. I mean, it seems like you're so rich with knowledge and experience and an amazing artist. But I'd love to know, what are you hoping audiences get that watch it at the Garden State Film Festival out of watching this film?
I hope they appreciate the kind of the angle that we were going for visually, telling the story visually. And I hope they understand that it's strictly a POV film based on the characters, the lead character's experience. Mm-hmm. And that when we do use some of those quick edits, a lot of that is using cinematic grammar to indicate her psychological state, whether she's flashing forward in her mind or flashing backwards, and then to kind of put that whole thing together and hopefully achieve kind of just a mood.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Such a beautiful cinematic visual piece, beautiful piece of art, and a wonderful, wonderful message. So thank you so much for creating The Vow. Thank you to everyone involved, the actors, your partner, the crew members. It's a round of applause all around. I can't wait for audiences to see this. Let me tell everyone watching how they can watch The Vow. It will be playing at the Berkeley Hotel in the Continental Room, Saturday, March 26th in the Film Block, 5:45 to 7:30 p.m. So, Charlie, it was truly like a pleasure talking to you. I feel like I'm getting out of this interview with so much more knowledge and inspiration. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to listen.
Of course. Congratulations again, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too.